Hey guys, no, not yet, not that one. Hey guys, before our next video starts, we had a couple shout outs in our previous video, and I messed up and I forgot to mention two important people, the people who created our logos. So thank you, Sam. We're going to put Sam's face right here. And thank you, Julia. We'll put Julia's face right here with their Instagram handles. They actually sell stuff. Sam does stitching, if you go to her Instagram account. And Julia does graphic art, and she sells stickers and all that type of stuff. So I'm sorry I forgot to mention you guys before. But yeah, give them a follow. They're great. Thanks. Yes.
Okay, so welcome everybody to Pizza Ministries. I don't know what video this is exactly, but today we're going to talk about saints, because today...
Last week.
Last week. I don't know when you're watching it, but for us...
We're filming a week.
It's All Saints Day.
No, shut up, dude. We need to establish a lore. We changed the shirts.
Today is All Saints.
Oh my. Okay, just go.
Brett wants me to lie right now. You're not helping me become a saint.
How are we?
So today's All Saints Day. It's a feast day of our church, and we are obligated to go to mass. So we're going to talk about sainthood. I know, obligation.
No, that groan wasn't first. No, that groan was completely satirical. You should want to be a saint and want to go to mass.
Yeah, you should. So I think the question... Well, actually, wait. Before we go into this.
Yeah.
So yesterday is All Hallows Eve, otherwise known as Halloween. You may have heard of it. We're not going to talk about Halloween a lot, but what were you for Halloween?
I was... At first, I don't know if you know what an e-boy is. I wanted to be an e-boy for Halloween.
I've learned these things.
Yeah. I had, before I got my hair cut, I could have done it with my hair. Yeah. But my kid is obsessed with Toy Story. Her first movie that she saw in the theater was Toy Story 4. Okay. It was a good time. Nice. So I thought I'd be Forky, a.k.a. Trash, for Halloween. Trash? And so usually Brittany helps me, my wife, she usually helps me with my costume. But I thought, heck, I'll do it myself, and it did not turn out very good. So people thought I was a shark the whole day. I just got like white paper and made a little spork outline and drew a red unibrow. And I don't know why that's a shark, but people thought I was a shark. So sorry, Reggie, that your dad's a big disappointment and you can't do a Forky costume. Nice. What were you?
I was Captain Hook. And
that sounds like something you would want to do. Was that your choice?
No, it wasn't. So my wife is 8 months pregnant, so she was Mr. Smee.
Oh, that's actually good.
With the belly, and then I was Captain Hook.
That's pretty good. I take it all back.
Yeah, and then we had another two friends that dressed up as Tinkerbell and Peter Pan. So
that's good too.
Yeah, I was. Fun fact: I was Captain Hook when I was 4 years old.
And you chose to be Captain Hook?
I don't know, but I wore the same hat last night. So
you kept the hat?
Yeah, I was in my parents' house. I picked it up. So
your parents like you.
It was like disintegrating on my head all night, but it was pretty good. Okay, so talking about saints, I think there's a lot of ideas that pop into our mind when we hear the word saint, right. And I think in secular society, the word saint is like perfect person, like absolutely perfect, flawless. And we even kind of throw that around some of the times, like, well, I'm no saint, or, they're not a saint. So I think it's worth looking at what we think a saint really is. And I think there's a lot of ideas out there. But Saint Jose Maria Escriva, and it's one of my favorite definitions of a saint, is simply a saint is a sinner who keeps trying. Yep. Right. And we talked about leadership in one of the previous episodes, but sainthood is really along the lines of every time we fall, we get back up. Right? We're reliant on Christ because we're going to sin, we're going to make mistakes. And so saints weren't people who were just popped out of the womb and, we're going to adoration every day and had amazing like prayer lives. They're not these just like perfect people their entire lives. And I know as youth ministers, we talk a lot about the saints and the messed up things that they do. And we've talked about that in one of the previous episodes. Right. So I think it's important, like, to understand that for us to get to heaven, right, we have to be a saint. And that sounds like a huge requirement. And it doesn't mean you have to be canonized, right? Okay. That's the big point there. Like, it doesn't mean that the only people in heaven are the people that have an ST in front of their name, but it does mean that we are called to be saints. Like, we have to be saints to get to heaven, right? And I think there's the famous quote by what's his name? Leon Bloy, I think he was a writer. And he said that the only failure in life, or something like this, the only failure in life is to not be a saint. Right? Because that means that your life is a waste because you're not getting to heaven. Right. And so our goal is to get to heaven, to be with Christ for all eternity. And we need to be saints to do that. It doesn't mean we're going to be perfect. And so looking at the lives of the saints is a really cool thing, because we can look at some messed up lives that have been completely transformed by Christ. Right.
Yeah, it was mentioned to me. I did bring up Saint Therese of Lisieux and Saint Mother Teresa in a previous video, but I didn't explain what their doubts were or what their struggles were. Saint Therese, she had physical ailments her whole life. She lost a lot of family members at a young age. She wanted to be a nun since she was young, and she was declined a bunch of times. There's a range of big things and little things that happened in her life, obviously. In her memoirs, though, she mentions, while she's a nun, while she's being looked up to and all this type of stuff for the little things that she does in life, she does mention things like, oh, how the secular life seems so appealing to me right now. And not in some flighty, like poetic type of thing where it's like, oh, the secular life, it seems so great, but thank God I am here to hide me from it. She was expressing her struggles of the appeal of living a life ignoring the universal call to holiness. And for me, that's super relatable, right? I may not have the physical ailments or have lost siblings or her mother like she did at a young age, but those things where living a life that is the opposite of the pursuit of holiness sounds appealing. That's something that I could relate to. Yeah. And Mother Teresa also mentioned that she lived years. I want to say it was years. I forgot what the timeline was. 20 years. 20 years was that much. Saying that she no longer felt God's love and doubted his existence. Yeah. These are things that, again, we could relate to. We may not be crazy people who go to Calcutta to feed the poor and get rid of all of our riches and all that stuff. But when you get into the minds of the saints, we could recognize there are a lot of things that they thought that they struggled with while they were living a life of holiness that is very relatable to us. Yeah. And sometimes we think we need to like run off and join a monastery or a convent to become a saint. Or we need to have something epic happen, like we need to charge into a battle or be tortured to death, right? But I think kind of what you're saying too is that saints, a lot of the saints didn't go looking for these huge things, but when life kind of displayed itself to them, they brought Christ into it and brought Christ into it like heroically. And I think saints that have been kind of I've been hearing about and kind of been on my heart are Blessed Chiara. I don't know when she's becoming a saint. Badano. She was a normal teenager, played soccer, liked to dance, hang out with friends. And then she got diagnosed with bone cancer. Like, she didn't go looking for that. And then her response to that was like, I want to do what Jesus wants. Like, I want to invite Jesus into my suffering and suffer with him as my bridegroom, right? She saw like, I am the bride and he is the groom and I'm going to be one with him and I trust him completely. And you have, Saint Jose Sanchez del Rio, right? He's like a little kid and he gets caught in the middle of a civil war in Mexico and he finds himself in a church and he finds himself being tortured to death to renounce the name of Christ. Like, he didn't go looking for that. Like, he wasn't like, and there was probably there was probably hesitance to experience that. Like, they are human. There had to have been hesitance, right? I think that's really important.
So I think kind of looking at the lives of the saints, and they are really diverse, is that we can we don't have to go looking for anything like spectacular. I need to do something that makes me special to become a saint. But I think it means looking at where we're at and inviting God into that. Like whatever we're doing, like obviously we're gonna pray, we're gonna discern, we're gonna be open to God's call and our vocations. But right where you're at now, inviting God into that and doing that well, doing that out of love, whether it's good or really bad, right? Whether it's a struggle or whether it's joyful, like inviting God into this moment and this stage in life is the mark of a saint, is those steps to take, right? And I don't know if I can do this, but Father Mike Schmitz, I know it's like he's another video that you could be watching right now, but
well, I should go ask him to watch the video.
but Father Mike Schmitz, yeah, you can go check out his videos. They're awesome. But he says that whenever you're feeling overwhelmed or you don't know what to do, which I think is a huge part of humanity, you just take that next logical step. And I think to apply that to sainthood and holiness, it's like, how do I become a saint? Like, what do I do? You just take that next logical step.
Yeah.
You know, like what can you do in your daily life? Can you add 5 minutes of prayer?
Yeah.
Right. So it's those simple steps to just take that next step.
Right. That
we're called to. It's not, doesn't have to be anything crazy, or anything big, but right here, right now, what can you do to grow closer to Christ?
And that's the thing. We are called to that. Every single person that is born, not even the baptized, right? Every single person that is born, it holds that universal call to holiness, whether they recognize it or not. We went to a theology on tap in the summer where I did. I don't think you were there. Yeah. Thanks for the support, Adam. We went to a theology on tap in the summer where Dr. Janice Dario was giving a talk. And I don't know the number exactly, but there is a disproportionate percentage of canonized saints when it comes to those who are ordained or those who are nuns compared to those who were single or were married lay people, right? Yeah. There's a big discrepancy. And we could talk about the politics of canonization. We're not going to do that. We're going to avoid that. But we should see that number and recognize that we need to be those people who are canonized. We need to be those lay people. Not to say that canonization is the most important thing, but imagine living a life filled with God's grace that was obviously evident, and you become canonized and people recognize you as a lay person who was very similar to them, right? We need more examples of that. And All Saints Day is a celebration of all those people who are in heaven that did live that life of Christ, right? We pray for all the souls in purgatory the next day and All Souls Day and all that stuff. But we need to make sure that we take that universal call to holiness seriously. And it's not just reserved for the popes, the cardinals, the bishops, the nuns. It's for us. It's for us. They're supposed to shepherd us to that. We need to be that example.
So, it's not today because today is All Saints Day. But next year or the next time you celebrate All Saints Day, celebrate your future feast day. Like that's your goal, right? Everything else is a failure to not be with Christ for eternity. Right. And that starts now in the present moment with the smallest things, right? So next time you celebrate All Saints Day, celebrate your future feast day as a saint.
Right.
Okay. So thank you for watching. Comment below. Maybe comment your favorite saint. Yeah. That would be great.
Actually, in our Instagram story, someone did ask us who your favorite saint was. Who's your favorite saint?
Well, my patron saint is Saint Francis of Assisi. So there's a special connection there,
That's unique. No, he's great. He's great. My favorite saint is Saint Dominic Savio. We're going to leave you with the responsibility of looking them up because they can motivate you.
Pretty sure you've heard of Saint Francis.
So, Again, make sure to like the video. We'll do this thing again. 1 like equals 1 stigmata for you. Wow. That, like a saint would, right?
That's pretty intense. Okay.
You want it.
Thanks for watching. God bless.
See you guys.